Hello and welcome to HCD's 2020 Emergency Solutions Application Webinar for the Continuum of Care applications. As a reminder, our webinar for the balance of state applications will be held this Thursday, March 5th, which you can register for through HCD's website. My name is Megan Miller, and I am the ESG Program Manager. I would like to introduce you to the 2020 ESG Program representatives, Jeanette Shockey, Jamie Dix, Amanda Lockwood, and Diana Prado. Jamie and Jeanette will be your hosts for today. Due to some positive structural changes within HCD, these program staff will now be your contact points throughout the application process and through the duration of your contract with HCD. There will no longer be a separate NOFA team and grants management team. We're all the same team going forward, which will hopefully make the whole process a bit smoother for our recipients. I'd like to establish some housekeeping items for our webinar today. We will take questions in writing periodically throughout the webinar. Please type in your questions when we get to the question slides. Everyone will be on mute. If we are not able to answer your questions due to time constraints or we need to further research your question, we will post them on our FAQs, and the FAQs will be posted to our website shortly after the webinar.
Okay, let's go over the AE provider selection process. The administrative entities are responsible for awarding federal ESG funds to eligible service providers for ESG eligible activities in their approved CoC service areas. The selection process must be similar to HCD's, that is fair and open, illustrates that the selection process was advertised and technical assistance was provided to those that applied. Again, refer to your ESG regulations, section 8403. The provider selection process should utilize data and considers community input to identify unmet needs, prioritizes activities that address the highest unmet need, considering other available funding and system-wide performance measures, considers project-level performance measures when evaluating proposals, and collaborates with the CoC. A minimum of 40% of the funds must be awarded to rapid rehousing, and the balance remaining can be awarded to an emergency shelter, street outreach, or homelessness prevention, and a maximum of 10% for HMIS. Again, the administrative entity must allocate 40% of their ESG funds for rapid rehousing. Each administrative entity can determine the minimum and maximum grant amounts and set the limits on the number of subcontractors. And they must ensure ESG funded activities are available to non-entitlement areas using the coordinated entry system. The administrative entity must meet federal ESG match requirements, which is 100%. A complete application must be received no later than Thursday, May 28, 2020 by 5 p.m. Please submit one original hard copy of the application, which will include all the forms 1 through 9 in a 3-ring binder with individual tabs separating the forms. Also, along with the application, please submit a USB flash drive in Excel format and also a PDF copy, which includes a copy of the complete application. You may have noticed we've opened the application period earlier than in prior years and have included a 90-day application window to help ease time constraints in getting signed board resolutions and other required documentation. I want to remind everyone that a complete application not submitted by the deadline will result in a denial of funds to your CoC service area. I suggest that you review page 3 of the application and use the checklist to ensure you have completed all the required forms. Let's begin reviewing each form in the application. I will give you an opportunity to ask questions after we review the application. Form number 1, the funded award package. The funded applicants' Excel spreadsheets ask for the CoC's ranking list for each application they recommended for funding for both the non-competitive and regional competition. You will provide the applicant's name and address and project name and address. Proposed subpopulation targeting with ESG funds, the city and counties where the activities will be provided, and the dollar amounts recommended for funding by activity. Form number 2, that's the contact information. Fill in the name and address of the applicant. The authorized representative is a person named in the resolution, and the administrative fiscal representative is a contact person handling the request for funds. The CoC contact information, fill in the name of the CoC name and include the address, phone number, and email. Also fill in the HMIS lead information, which includes the title, address, phone number, and email address. Form number 3, legislative and congressional information. This form is used to notify the state legislators and U.S. representatives when the ESG awards are made in their district. Please provide legislative and congressional information for each ESG activity location. Form number 4 is the budget form. Complete the table for each activity. I just want to go over some key points. Make sure HMIS is no greater than 10% of the total allocation amount, and that the grant admin is not greater than the allocation amount listed in Appendix A. Form number 5 is a certificate of indirect costs. Certification of indirect costs must be signed by the authorized representative. Form number 6 is the payee data record, government TIN, and applicant verification form. The payee data record or government TIN form is required to be filled out for each administrative entity receiving payment. If you're a unit of local government, please complete the TIN form. If you are a nonprofit, please fill out the payee data record. The applicant verification form is new this year. We have designed this form in order to create consistency for the name the AE is using on their documents. The entity name should be the same on the application, resolution, and TIN. The links to these forms have been provided on form number 6 of the application. Form number 7, projected outcomes. This form is used for data collection to generate reports for the department and agency. The data is based on the projected outcomes for emergency shelter, street outreach, homelessness prevention, and rapid rehousing. Form number 8 is the governing board authorizing resolution. We will review this in more detail in just a moment. Form number 9 is the administrative entity compliance certification. The authorized representative named in the resolution must sign this form certifying that the funding recommendation for ESG funds meets the federal and state ESG requirements. We've now come to our questions slide. So if you have any questions, please type them now.
So it looks like we have a question that came in, and the question is, what are the requirements for cities to apply?
Okay, so in order to apply for this funding round, you have to be selected by your CoC as an administrative entity. So if you're a city or a county and your CoC selected you to be the administrative entity, that's how you could apply for our funds. Another way would be to find out who is your administrative entity and find out what kind of competition they're going to do so you could be selected to fund your activity.
We have another question that came in. The question is, are there any changes to the resolution template from last year?
I believe the last template that's been uploaded on our website is the same. It was revised at some point last year, but it is the same that was posted. So you shouldn't have any changes to it.
Correct. So there was an original one posted last year under 19, and then we posted a revised revision for 19. And the revised revision for 19 is the same as the 2020. Yes.
Okay, it looks like we are done with our questions and we're going to move on to the resolution portion of the webinar. So that is Form A, the Governing Board Authorizing Resolution, and you're required to submit a resolution approved by your authorized board. You're encouraged to use the sample resolution that's posted to our website to help avoid any possible deficiencies, because a deficiency may disqualify the application as being incomplete or delay execution of the standard agreement and drawdown of funds. So please read the instructions for completing the resolution within the template. And the resolution must be on your letterhead. And as a reminder, don't forget to remove all the instructions, verbiages that's in the template when you're completing it. Some key tips to remember. Paragraph A asks for the NOFA date. So acceptable dates are on or about February 2020, February of 2020, and the date of the NOFA letter, which was February 28th, 2020. And we recommend that you don't alter the template language because it could delay the execution of your contract. Also, on section 2 on the resolution template, enter the amount you are applying for, and we suggest that you inflate this amount in case additional funds are available. You can always have a higher dollar amount of funds requested on your resolution, but you can't have a lesser amount. So you may want to plan ahead and put additional dollars into this amount. Now, section 4 of the resolution template. This is where you will identify the authorized representative by name and or title. As a reminder, the authorized representative identified in the resolution must sign the standard agreement and any other program documents. If you use the word "and" for 2 or more authorized representatives, then all the parties must sign any standard agreement and any other ESG documents. And you cannot use the word "and/or" when naming the authorized representative. This will result in the applicant going back to the board for an amended resolution, as our legal department will not approve it. If you identify a designee as one of your authorized representatives, you must submit a letter of designation to the department showing the designee is authorized to sign. This may be a letter on letterhead, or HCD does have a template that's available for you. So please email your ESG inbox for a copy of the template. Another key point is the vote totals will be compared to current organizational bylaws or other governing documents for other cities and counties. Be sure the A's, the nays, abstentions, and absent boxes have numbers in them. Don't leave anything blank or we'll send it back. The person attesting the resolution cannot be the person identified as the authorized representative. And at the bottom of the resolution, the attesting officer must sign and print their name. We had several of those last year had to be returned because the applicant did not sign and print their name. So that's very important. Now I want to go over the rent exception process. We have added this section in our presentation to make sure you have sufficient time to submit your requests. Please note that the 2020 FMR rates have gone up considerably, so I recommend you check your fair market rent rates on HUD's website before you request an exception. If you're having problems finding affordable rental units for rapid rehousing and homelessness prevention programs that meet the fair market rent, then you may apply for rent exceptions to HUD. The FMR rent exception request is made in writing to us, to HCD. HCD will forward the request to HUD for review, and HUD's decision will be based on the information provided in your letter. This process takes several months, so we recommend that you contact your ESG representative as soon as possible and begin the rent exception process. The letter should include the county's current approved Section 8 rent standards. If the Section 8 rent standard is above fair market rent, then include the date this increase was made above FMR, current rental vacancies, and the average increase in rents in your county over the past 12 months. Also, the letter should include the negative impact of lower rents. For example, low program spend down rates, time period between program participants being granted rapid rehousing assistance and actually finding a rental unit. Number of landlords that have refused to participate because the rents offered were too low. Before I recap, are there any questions? Okay, we have no questions at this time, so I'm going to recap. Just to recap, applications are due no later than 5 p.m. on May 28th, 2020. A complete application submitted in a 3-ring binder with tab sections and 1 USB flash drive in Excel format and 1 PDF copy with the application. We will only accept applications through the U.S. Postal Carrier, UPS, or FedEx. We will not accept personal deliveries. No extensions will be granted, and all HCD funding decisions are final. This concludes our webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to email the ESG inbox at esg@hcd.ca.gov And later this week, we will be sending out a survey, and we would appreciate it if you would respond to the survey. And our FAQs will be posted within the next few weeks. Thank you for your time.